Hi, and welcome to lesson 6. We're talking about exponents. So learning target for today, I can simplify exponent expressions here. So in order to do this, we need to learn a few things about exponents. Well, a power, it looks like this, a to the b. So there's a couple components here. There's one, the base. Ooh, there's the base right here. This is the base. This is the number that is being multiplied. So A is the base. It is the number that is being multiplied. And B is going to be the exponent. The exponent is how many times that number is multiplied. So A is the base. It's A to the B power. So A is going to be the number that's multiplied. B is going to be how many times it is multiplied. So if we're looking at something like this, which number is the base in the following power? Well, if it's the base, it's going to be the number that is being multiplied. So in this situation, it would be 3. Now, the power, the exponent would be the fourth. So if I was to write this out, I would say that it's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So notice the exponent tells me how many times I'm going to write out the number 3. So it's 3 to the 4th. Which number is the base? That would be the 3. Which number is the base in the following power? It's 6 to the 9th. So in this situation, the base would be the 6, right? If I was to write this out, it would be 6 times 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 6, which is going to be a pretty substantial number. But notice, we're writing it out 9 times. Okay? So in this situation, which number is the exponent in the following power? The exponent is going to be the little number up top. That's going to be 9. Which number is the exponent in the following power? And in this case, it's going to be 6. So this would be 4 written out 6 times, and I'm not going to do that this time around. We did that up top. Okay, so coming back here, and this is a little bit of what we just practiced here. Write 9 to the second as a product. Remember, product is multiplication. So if I have 9 to the second, it's going to be 9 written this many times. So it's going to be 9 times 9. Now we know it's not 9 plus 9. It's not 9 times 2. It's not multiplication. It's an exponent. 9 divided by 2. They use the x to multiply. I personally like using the dots. Either or, they mean the same thing. Just a little trickier once we start getting into variables. Write 6 to the third as a product. So 6 is going to be written 3 times. So it's going to be 6 times 6 times 6, which is going to end up landing us at this one down here again. Write k to the fourth as a product. Now notice this is not a number. That's okay. It's a variable, which is a number, so it's going to be treated the same way. So k is going to be written out 4 times. So k times k times k times k. And which one of those is that? That is this one. K times k times k times k. And then lastly here, we know that t is going to be the base. It's going to be written out 7 times. We know it's not any of these. We know that it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's going to be t times t times t times t times t times t times t with that. So recognizing it, base power, taking a power and writing it out as a repeated multiplication. Hopefully you're in a good place with that. Now, something like this we want to evaluate. So before we just wrote it out, now we're actually going to evaluate. Now, you might look at this and say, okay, 2 to the 5th is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which you can totally do in your calculator, but what you'll find out is that it gets a little bit tricky the more you go in. So we know it's going to be 32. Now, there is a button on here that you can use, and it's called the caret key, and it looks like this. And in this particular calculator that I have, it is, let me see if I can move this over, it is right there above the division symbol. So I can't go over the top of the calculator there, but you see it right next to that arrow there. It's that caret key. So if I said 2 to the 5th, 2, I would press that button, and then I'd go 2 to the 5th, and it would give me the same thing. So that's how it reads it. It's pretty good practice, though, to use parentheses, whatever number you're raising to the 5th, to do that, because once you start adding negative numbers, it's going to make a pretty big difference on what's happening with those. So 32. 8 to the third. Once again, you could write it out, 8 times 8 times 8, and when in doubt, write it out. Otherwise, you can go to your calculator and you can say 8, oops, I talked about parentheses, let's make sure we use them, 8 to the third power, which is going to be 512. You could also do 8 times 8 times 8, which is going to be 512 as well. 512. Some of these, you're definitely going to want to use a calculator, like 4.2 to the third. So 4.2 to the third power, 74.088. Oops, 74.088. And 1.4 to the fifth, 1.4 to the fifth, 5.37824. So there you have it with multiplying those out. Last piece of the puzzle here, evaluate the following expressions. This, as we've been doing all along, anytime you're told to evaluate with something, you take that number and you plug it in. So this is going to be 2 to the fourth, and we want to find out what that 2 to the fourth equals. So it could be, you could say 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, or you could say 2 to the fourth, and it's going to land you at 16. And then last one. Evaluate the following expressions when b equals 5. Once again, we're going to take that and plug it in for there. So it's going to be 5 to the fifth. Parentheses are important. 5 to the fifth, and you get 31.25. You could also write it out and say 5 times 5 times 5. This looks like a subtraction. Times 5 times 5, and you're going to find out that that lands you on the same thing. 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Perfect. There you go. So that is exponents. So evaluating exponents, writing out exponents, recognizing what the base is, what the exponents are, and working with those powers. That is exponents.